YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to Bananas Epic Gaming. And today in Bananas Epic Gaming, we're going to be doing another tier list video. And this tier list is going to be for these slasher films from popular franchises. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, this is just my personal opinion. And let me know what your favorites from this list are in the comments below, and here we go. The first slasher series and film we're going to talk about is Black Christmas. Now, Black Christmas is a classic. It will always hold a candle to the other two, the two remake attempts. But I personally like the first remake attempt, the one that has Mary Winningsted from Final Destination movie, Final Destination 3, and I think Katie Cassidy's in this as well. The remake, not the original, but the original is average. It's like a good premise, a good slasher movie, but I saw that one time, and I've seen the remake, I'm just going to the sequel, more, and that's why I like the remake more. Speaking of the remake, here it is. What am I going to rank this? I'm going to rank this as average. I like this one more, but it does have its flaws. And if you see the movie, you know what the flaws are. Up next, we have the second attempt at the remake of Black Christmas. And I watched like 5-10 minutes of it and I turned it off. I was not a fan of this one at all. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I wasn't a fan of how they revealed the killer and who the killer was. The next slasher movie I want to talk about is Candyman. Now, we're going to do the original one first. The original one is great. I am a huge fan of Tony Todd. I love Tony Todd. He is one of the icons of horror in my mind. Him, Kane Hodder, Nick Castle, and Robert Englund, and Roger L. Jackson are my 5 actor horror icons. And yes, Roger L. Jackson is a voice actor, and that counts. But the movie Candyman, good premise of a movie. I think the first one is arguably the best one out of the 4 that we have now. And that's my personal opinion on that one. But if you look in the past, is it really? Guys, I wanted to make sure that I was still filming. I was talking about, is the original one the best? Because going back and looking at the other ones, they weren't really that good. Second Candyman movie, I thought it was teetering between average and bad. But I'm going to put it at average because I can remember some kills from that movie. Because I saw it like once back in like the mid-2000s. And I have not watched another one since. The third one, I remember not liking at all. I remember it just being a bad, bad movie. And now the remake / sequel. I thought that they did a near perfect job on this one. They made it so basically anybody could be Candyman. It's not just Tony Todd. He could be anybody. And I thought that was a brilliant take on that. Up next, we have Child's Play. And I'm trying to find the first Child's Play. is a great horror movie. I thought Killer Doll, that won't be that scary when I was a little kid, and Chucky scared me for a week or two. And my aunt would always play that when I was at her house. Speaking of Chucky, we got Child's Play 2, and now this one, I didn't really like this one. It's Andy, I forget who he goes to live with, but he's not with his mom anymore, and he's like living with the foster parents, and there's a scene with Andy going to school, and I think this is the one where he kills his teacher. Chucky kills Andy's teacher. I'm sorry, Jan. Yeah, it takes place 2 years after. But that brings us to Child's Play 3. I really liked Child's Play 3. I'm gonna put this one here and then this one here. I really liked Child's Play 3 because that's the one with the military setting, right? Like the boot camp setting. Hang on. Yeah, it is. And I thought that was a nice take. Have Chucky go after Andy, who's in military school. Up next, we have The Bride of Chucky. I liked this one. I really liked this one. Because you had Jennifer Tilly come into the series. And you saw like Jason's hockey mask. You saw like a bootleg Michael mask and a Leatherface chainsaw and like the evidence locker. Like those are like little Easter eggs. And I thought that was cool. And the fact that Chucky killed Jennifer and put her in the woman body, the woman doll's body. And now she goes by Tiffany. I thought that was a nice touch. And I think this has Katherine Heigl. Does this one have Katherine Heigl? I think she plays the love interest. Yeah, it does. She does play the love interest. Up next, we have the Seed of Chucky. That is just bad. I was not a fan of that one. It was like one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot because I've seen a lot of horror movies, but I was not a fan of the Seed of Chucky. The Curse of Chucky was back in the right direction for the franchise. I saw it on Netflix. Yeah. I saw it on Netflix and I was like, wow. How are they going to continue this? And they continue it with the Curse of Chucky. Body swapping. Chucky is put into a female. I wasn't a fan of that. And the remake, I'll be nice. The remake was average, and they made Chucky's name a Buddy doll. And there was like different types of Chucky. There was the bear. There was, I forgot what else there was. But I wasn't a fan of the remake. I watched it like one time after I bought it in a Blu-ray Black Friday bin at Target. Now the Collector. The Collector, I was a fan of this movie, along with the sequel. The Collector and the Collection were decent horror movies. I thought they were going to be cheap knockoff, like a crappy Netflix horror movie. But I was wrong. If you haven't seen The Collector, go see it. It is not that bad, and you won't get your money's worth. Now, the newest horror movie franchise that came out this year, Fear Street. Part 1 is like an homage to Scream. I thought part 1 was perfect. I loved part 1 and part 2. Part 1 takes place in 1994, so it does have that Scream vibe, the 90s horror vibe. You had Sadie Sink in here, you have Maya Hawke, excuse me, you have Emily Rudd. You have a decent cast in this movie, and I was a fan of Fear Street 1. Now, Fear Street 2 is like a really good sequel. It surpassed part 1 for me. It is like Friday the 13th, a love story to Friday the 13th because of the camp setting. And the little twist on who C. Berman was at the end, I thought was nice, but also sad. Because you see what happens to C. Berman and her sister. Fear Street 3. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of the third Fear Street. I thought the other two were 100 times better. It's like a love story to like the Blair Witch, the paranormal movies, and it takes place in 1666. So there's not that much you could do in that time frame for the Fear Street movies. Friday the 13th. You know what? Friday the 13th is the next one we are going to talk about. And we're going to talk about the original Friday the 13th. I really enjoyed the original Friday the 13th and Mrs. Voorhees being the original killer. Some people still don't know that Jason was not in the movie until the very end. And it's a good camp slasher movie, and I still think that it's one of the best in the series. Friday the 13th Part 2, I thought it was a good sequel. It hit the points, and we finally get Jason as the killer. But that's not the Jason that we know yet. We're not quite there, but we're getting there. And what I mean by that is Friday the 13th Part 3. This is where Jason gets his hockey mask. And I personally think that Part 3 is one of the best sequels in the Friday the 13th series. You have, what, 10, 11, 12? 12 of them now? We may get one more later on down the line. Up next, we have Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Now, this is arguably the best Friday the 13th movie in some people's minds, and I would have to agree with them. This is not, if not the best, then one of the best. I like Part 4 and 3 and 6. And I have a guilty pleasure for Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, but I don't rank them as high as the other ones. Jason dies in this one, and we get Tommy Jarvis as the hero in this movie, and he's a big piece from the final chapter until Jason lives. Up next, we have Friday the 13th Part 5 of A New Beginning. Now, the kills are good, but the thing that made me upset was that, spoiler alert if you have not seen this movie, Jason's not the killer. Instead, it's Rory, who's using the Jason name to get revenge because his son, who was at Tommy's uh, retreat. His son got butchered by a madman at the retreat. I wasn't a fan of that. That's why this is the lowest ranked Friday the 13th for me so far. Up next, we have Jason Lives. Friday the 13th, Part 6. Now, this was one of the first horror movies that I watched when I was a kid. And this is the one where we get Zombie Jason. I personally like this one because, like I said, it's one of the first horror movies I watched, and you get Jason going to a camp where we have kids at a camp. I think this is the first Friday the 13th, if I can remember correctly. They have counselors and kids at the camp. Up next, we have Jason versus Carrie. Friday the 13th, Part 7, A New Blood. I thought this was an average Friday the 13th movie. I personally was hoping for more Tommy, but we got Jason versus Carrie, somebody who has powers in this one. I don't hate this one, but I don't like this one. The positive thing is that this was Kane Hodder's first outing as Jason. And up next, we have Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. Or what it should have been called, Friday the 13th, Jason Takes a Boat. Now, this one is bad. The kills are okay. And they killed Jason off in this movie in a weird, dumb way. And it makes no sense how Jason was in New York and he ended up in Crystal Lake. And I know it's not that far of a drive, but he doesn't drive, and he's not going to walk with police that can easily stop him and detain him. He's a wanted criminal. And up next, we have Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Other than the obvious that's wrong with this movie, and Creighton Duke, who was a good part, but if we would have saw Jason do something to him, or saw Jason do what he did to Creighton Duke, and then have Creighton come back, then it would have been more impactful. But this movie was a mess up and down. Jason was swapping bodies. After he died, he can only become alive again and become Jason. Was being born through another Voorhees, and we learned that there are more Voorheeses. That would make it go down here to average for me. The kills are good. They're okay for a Friday the 13th movie. And this is where we get Jason versus Freddy teased. And we wait for so long for that. And then we get Jason Goes to Space, aka Jason X. Now, this is going to be up here with Jason Goes to Hell. Average. Good concept. And if we would have got Freddy versus Jason first, people wouldn't care. Because how did Jason get captured by the Crystal Lake facility team? Now, I have a theory that after Freddy versus Jason, which takes place in 2003, 2004, that the Crystal Lake team went and got Jason. So they could easily fit one more movie and put it in that time frame and have the ending be Jason getting captured by them. And then you can wrap out the series that way. And you could do the one where Jason's in the future. And then we get the remake, the last Friday the 13th movie that we've had so far in Friday the 13th. I think this is the one by Michael Bay. Is it? We got the guy from Supernatural in here. We got Daniel Panabaker, who plays Frost on The Flash. Yeah. It was no, okay. I don't know why I said Michael Bay. Maybe it felt like a Michael Bay movie. You have Derek Mears as Jason. You have. That's pretty much it. I only liked Daniel Panabaker because I love Daniel Panabaker. But they have a character in this movie that resembles Chad from the movies. I'm teetering between it's not the worst remake, but it's not the best, and I honestly don't like it. The kills are good, but they jammed so much into one movie. Up next, we have a Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Absolutely the worst. Robert Englund is the only person that is going to be Freddy Krueger. I'm sorry. And I just realized my mic was unplugged. So, if the quality is different, that's why. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I did not like this one at all. I know I'm kind of hard to please, but I'm not really that hard to please when it comes to horror movies. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. This is the best sequel Nightmare on Elm Street has ever done or ever put out. And I will argue with whoever says that it's not. Because I can possibly find multiple people that agree with me. A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. I personally didn't mind this one. I liked it. It had some good kills. And that's a good way to make a good horror movie. It has some interesting kills. Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Just bad. Just awful. That's all I'm going to say about that. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Dead. Dumb. Freddy wipes out Springwood and wants to get his daughter, but he needs somebody else's help. Absolutely did not like that. Wes Craven's The New Nightmare. I would say that it's average. I like the attempt at something new. But immediately after this, we got Freddy versus Jason. And the original Nightmare on Elm Street is arguably one of the best slasher horror movies ever made. Up next, we have Freddy versus Jason. Now, just because of the nostalgia... Sorry, my dog is getting up and moving around. Just because of the nostalgia and because it's Freddy and Jason, I'm going to put it at a B. I like it. I enjoy it. And I watch it every now and then. Or, like, I'm doing one horror movie a day. I've already watched it. Okay, now it's Saw. Now, the original Saw, I thought was okay. I remember my friend Vicky. She liked the Saw movies, and I would try and watch them because my friend liked them. But she's like one of the only one of my friends that I truly trust on her opinion on something that likes the movies. And she has good taste because Saw 2, I thought Saw 2 was a really good sequel. Along with, I think Saw 3 was also good. Saw 3. Yeah. I can tell you by the cast. Yeah, Saw 3. I also enjoyed Saw 2 and Saw 3. Because isn't Saw 4 with the autopsy? Yeah. I thought Saw 4 was good as well. And Saw 5. Saw 5, I didn't enjoy Saw 5, and I didn't enjoy Saw 6. And the final chapter I thought was bad. Now, Saw movies they may not be horror slashers to you, because it's known as torture porn, according to Scream and most people. But the Saw movies were classics in the 2000s. You say 2000 horror movie, and most people think it's Jigsaw. I thought was average, and the little twist on it happening years ago, and then John Kramer had another accomplice that was right under everybody's nose. I thought it was okay. Now Spiral, I haven't really seen Spiral, but I've heard good things about it. I've seen like some of the death scenes, and it looks average. It looks pretty good. Now we're on to another series, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake with Jessica Alba. Now, this is arguably the best remake of all time, horror movie wise. Jessica Alba did a tremendous job, and that led into Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, and I thought it was a nearly perfect movie. And it sucks that Jordana Brewster died the way she did. She died when she was about to reach help. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, great horror movie, cult classic, but it gets shown up by the sequel, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I like that one more, because that one, I believe that one has Chop Top and his grandpappy that cooks chili. Give me one quick second. I'm just gonna look that up real quick. Yeah. Okay, now the third one, because I want to do them in order. Because I know the one with Matthew McConaughey was pretty bad from what I can remember. Okay, no wait. This one I thought was average. That's the one with Michelle and her boyfriend Ryan, who stop at the gas station, and that's how they get in the crosshairs of Leatherface. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4. This is the one with Matthew McConaughey. Okay. Yeah, there's no other words I need to say about that. And the Leatherface movie, I thought was awful as well. The second attempt on a reboot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, I thought it was an average horror movie, especially for one that came out in the 2000s, 2010s. Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Fisherman. The first movie, I loved the first movie. Jennifer Love Hewitt, Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Not Michelle Gellar, I'm sorry about that. Those two actresses, I adore them. That is, Sarah's will always be Daphne, and Jennifer Love Hewitt will always be Julie. Love those two. And that brings us to I Know What You Did Last Summer Part 2. I thought it was a good sequel. I thought, what more could they do? So they bring him back, and they bring back his son, who is Will Benson. Ben's son. And I thought that was a nice little twist. And they never got a part 3. So apparently the fisherman's dead, and that's why he's a zombie in part 3. Worst movie ever. I'm sorry. Scream. Now, if you know me, you know I love Scream. Scream 1 is a cult classic. It is one of the best horror movies of the 90s and one of the best horror movies that I've ever seen. Neve Campbell did a tremendous job. She came from Party of 5, and Scream made her a bigger name than I believe she could ever imagine. Scream 2, great sequel. I personally like Scream 2. Most people don't really. But Scream 2, I thought they did a tremendous job at Scream 2 and making, spoiler alert, on the killers. 1, 2, 3. Billy's mom and her friend Mickey. Mickey wanted to blame the movies. Billy's mom wanted revenge because Billy was a killer in Scream 1. And Stu was Billy's accomplice in Scream 1 as well. Scream 3. Now, Scream 3 was originally supposed to bring back Stu Macher. He was supposed to be behind all the killings. But they changed that, and they used the script or story for Scream 3 for Kevin's other show, The Following. So I don't think we're ever going to get the Stu comes back and is behind everything ever in Scream. I felt unfinished a little, and you could tell that there was something missing, like the third killer or the second killer for Scream 3. That's why I said third killer. Because I believe that it was supposed to be Angela, fake Sydney, but they kill her off and we never see her. And the way she died was weird too. So, there's that. And Scream 4. Now, Scream 4 is a good prologue to the first 3 movies, because that's what it feels like. And with Scream 5 maybe focusing on Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega's characters, and Sydney getting the Jamie Lee Curtis role. I could see that happening. So Scream 4 was a nice little bow on that. And it sucks that Wes Craven is no longer here with us, and he can see 5 and 6 come to fruition. But this Scream 5, aka Scream 2022, is for Wes. And I believe if it does well enough, they will make 6 and 7, no doubt. Now, last but not least, the Halloween franchise. The original Halloween. One of the best slasher movies to date. If we didn't have Halloween, I honestly don't believe we would have, like, most of these movies, or almost all of these movies would not be here. John Carpenter made a classic back in the day. And he made the sequel a classic as well. I personally enjoy Halloween 1 and 2. I thought they were good. Until they retcon everything multiple times, which makes me look at them at a different light. Like, they could have easily just said that Jamie Lee Curtis had a kid and she had to give it up in between 2 and 4, and she went back for her kid after she felt that Michael was gone and her life was together again, and she wanted John to have a big sister, but only to find out that she was murdered in part 6, but they didn't do that. Halloween 3, I'm not a fan of Halloween 3. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I loved this Halloween movie. Wait, that's not The Return, that's The Revenge. Oops. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I am honestly a fan of this movie. I love Halloween 4. It was one of my favorite Halloween movies to watch when I was a kid. And it still is. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I'm going to have to put it at average. Because the mask doesn't look good. And the characters are annoying. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And Halloween 6, The Producer's Cut is how I'm taking this in both. I would say that it is watchable and it's enjoyable, depending which one you watch. If you want a higher body count, watch the theatrical cut. If you want a better story, better looks like better shot, watch the producer's cut. Halloween H2O. I loved Halloween H2O when it came out, and I thought it was perfect. It was like the best movie to come out in the 90s when it did. 1998 is when it came out, so like Scream 2 was playing in the scene, and Halloween gave Scream 2 a nod, because Scream always give Halloween a nod. Halloween Resurrection. Now this one might upset some of you, but I thought it was okay. I mean, you take out the Jamie Lee Curtis death and you move that to like later in the movie, and you just have it. Michael comes home to find out these stupid teenagers are trying to film a reality show in his home, and he doesn't like that, so he kills them. And just have Jamie Lee Curtis have her be watching it, and she notices something's off, and she goes there and she tries to save them, but then she dies. Like half her dies saving Sarah. That would have been better in my mind. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, awful. Just an awful, 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 awful movie. John Carpenter said, if you want to make a sequel, you can make it your take. And they had Michael talk, which is what I didn't like. And they made Laurie crazy, which I did not like. Halloween, the Rob Zombie remake, I thought it was okay. Danny Trejo's in it, Danielle Harris is in it, Scout Taylor Compton's in it. Those people are enough to get you to go see it, for me. This would have been better if it was like a documentary style movie, and then you could lead up to the next Halloween, like after Halloween 8, where Michael comes back and starts killing everybody that has survived his wrath. I think Rob Zombie's Halloween would have been better if it was like a documentary style movie, like The Life of Michael Myers, and had like a post-credit scene or something that sets up Halloween 10, and you can tie up that series, that timeline. Now, Halloween 2018, I personally liked Halloween 2018. I liked the actress that plays Allison. I thought she is a tremendous actor. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, killing it like always. And the kills are brutal. I'm still upset that they killed the babysitter Vicky in the movie. She did not deserve to die, especially in that way. Now, Halloween Kills. Now, some of you are going to be thinking, why are you saying that's perfect? Because it's perfect for what it is. Halloween Kills is meant to be the slasher of the three. The one with the big body count. And Halloween Kills does have a huge body count. It's like 31 people. 31 people, I think, if you count the cop that gets shot in the neck in the beginning. If you take off the slasher aspect, it's down here. It's average. But this, going into it knowing it's going to be a slasher movie, and its sole purpose is to rank up the body count, then yes, it did its job. That's why I would give like an 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What movies here do you agree with? And let me know where you would rank them. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Tap the little bell on the YouTube app so you never miss an upload. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.